afternoon, folks, and welcome back to the farm. It's raining here today. It's been actually kind of a miserable, cold day. It looks like autumn's definitely setting in. Last day of August, might as well. Everybody's doing it, right? But I want to start off today's video by posing the question, what do you consider yourself to be? Are you a prepper, a hoarder, or are you a survivalist? So me, I've always kind of considered myself a survivalist, but let's get into what are the differences between those three things? Well, a prepper, really, you're setting aside a cache of, enough necessities to get you through some type of an incident or an event, as well as enough to get you through until that incident or event has become stabilized. Now, a hoarder, adversely, will keep more than that. Will keep more than what they could ever use, and probably more than what they could reasonably store, and as such, much of it goes to waste, and it's kind of a selfish thing. And then a survivalist, which today I find myself most definitely in survival mode, is somebody that recognizes the fact that there's a burden to storing a lot of stuff. And so instead of trying to keep all this stuff in storage, you train yourself to be able to live off the land so that in the event of some type of an incident, you don't require to go to your food cache. You can just go trap or hunt or whatever it needs to be. Well, why am I telling you all of this? Well, I'm telling you all of this because right now it's in the best interest of my survival to stay outside and not go in the house right now. I am in the doghouse, officially in the doghouse. My wife said earlier today, because it was raining, and raining quite heavily, and it still is, that we should go downstairs and clean up the spare room. Not for me to sleep in by any means, no, just become kind of a junk room, and we need to clean it up. So we're sorting through some stuff there, and we opened up a plastic tub, like a Tupperware, but a Rubbermaid tote or something like that, and found a bunch of stuff that had been in there for like 10 years. She's like, "Can you believe this has been in there for 10 years?" And then she handed me this box, and you can hear, yeah, she handed me that box. It didn't make that noise when she handed it to me. And I grabbed it, and it's taped on one side, not taped on the other side. Of course, I grabbed the tape side, and this lovely German lead crystal cake platter that we got for our wedding as a gift fell out the bottom and landed on the concrete floor in our basement and shattered. And so you can see how big it is, right? It's not that big. It's like 12 inches around, right? This thing filled the room. This thing hits the floor, and the noise it makes sounds like the breaking of the seventh seal. Like I can hear Steven Tyler in the background singing the theme song from Armageddon. Like I'm so dead right now. This is totally the end of the world, and yeah, not good. So anyways, I'm in survival mode, and I intended to be a hoarder and go put this in the sea can where it would probably never see the light of day again, because we don't really make cakes and display them on a tray. It's just one of those things that you have and you keep for sentimental value, but it doesn't really add a lot of value. You give it to your kids because why not burden them with it? But yeah, so this is expensive. Like this is like I said, German crystal. There's not even any English written on the box. Like it's the real deal. This is supposed to be a family heirloom, and I just spent the last 40 minutes sweeping and vacuuming up the floor in our spare bedroom, picking up the pieces. So I better stay outside for a bit longer. So the doghouse is gonna have to wait. Both our dogs actually just left our yard, and they booked her down here to the bottom of the hill. This is the neighbor's quarter section here, and that's not something they would typically do unless there was a strange vehicle coming by or whatever. So I thought, okay, well, they definitely got head down, ass up, and they're giving her, so they can smell something. And then there was this out in the bush over here. Definitely had some coyotes out here, but now everything's kind of quieting down. So I'm just gonna sit here. I got rangers over here. Ben's back in behind somewhere. Sit here for a minute and just make sure nobody's coming in that's not welcome. Anyway, survival mode. This year we've been in a drought year, and there's a hay shortage. Most of the crops actually failed early on in the year. So we're looking into having pasture shortage, followed by winter feed shortage, followed by a whole bunch of challenges with the market getting flooded with animals later on in the year, and not being able to get a decent price for the animals that we can't afford to feed. And so we're having to look at some unconventional feed sources for some of the animals. Now we have some backyard chickens, obviously, we have some pigs, we have some sheep. As you can see here, they are having a really good feast on some, I think that's a cantaloupe or a honeydew melon. I can never tell the difference between the two. I think that's a cantaloupe. Anyways, really, really nutritious for the chickens. This was actually destined for the landfill from a local grocery store. And so yesterday I was able to divert about 150 pounds of food that was completely destined for the landfill. And it's bread, pastries, fresh produce that, you know, well, I should say fresh produce. Like, obviously it's not fresh enough that it's going to stay on the shelf, but it's fresh enough that you would take it home still and eat it. But we're not going to do that. We're going to feed it to the animals, and they're going to have a great time eating, you know, very, very nutritious feed. And what's 150 pounds of feed worth? Well, if you buy 150 pounds of grain, you know yourself what that's going to cost. And the price today, imagine what the price is going to be in a couple of months when everybody's bins are only a quarter full of what they would have been in years previous. So I should preface this with saying that I don't support this stuff at all, even being in the grocery store to begin with, right? This is not locally grown, not locally sourced. This stuff is imported, has 1 million miles on it. And the only reason I'm in support of doing this, where it comes to here, to the chicken house, is because if it's just to go to the landfill, food waste hitting the landfill creates a massive, massive footprint in regards to methane emissions. And, well, I mean, if you can process it through the chickens and reduce that and actually turn it into an alternate viable food source by way of eggs and meat, maybe you've had a small win there. Anyways, folks, I think it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is with my eggs and my meat and go fetch up some supper. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow.